and welcome to AI TV. Today I have Kamogelo with me from the Zora group, and she's going to talk a little bit about what the company does. Kamogelo, welcome. Tell us a little bit about the Zora group.
Thank you so much for having me, and hello to everyone out there who's watching. It's really a pleasure to be here. So as the Zora Group, we are a women-owned tech company. What we focus on is data center infrastructure as well as software development, but our software development has a lot of focus in terms of AI-enabled software. So we build different tools for different companies across different sectors. For example, we've built a tool for the pharmaceutical industry whereby we track and trace consignments, and then we've also built a tool for the agricultural space whereby we track from harvest to market. So we just love tech, we love playing with tech, and also we see tech as an enabler, right? As an enabler for making things easier, for enhancing efficiency as well. So so that's what we do as the Zora Group.
Amazing. And as a predominantly software development company, what is where do you fit in with the AI with data centers, and what sort of products and services do you offer the clients that you have?
Yeah, sure. So from an AI software development enablement point of view, that's really where we play. And then of course right now with data centers across the continent, even across the world, that there's a really big shift towards enabling data centers with AI enablement. Mm-hmm. So that's really where that plays in as well.
Okay. So there's also a massive demand for data centers is growing just because of the use of AI.
Yeah.
And the world is just the requirements for data are just getting bigger and bigger every day. What do you think the future looks like for data centers, and how AI can make them more efficient?
Sure, thanks for that question. I think particularly I'll speak in terms of the African context, whereby there has not necessarily been such a large uptake, particularly in the rest of Africa. I know there's a lot of development that is happening, particularly in East and West Africa. So because a lot of nations are actually pushing for data sovereignty and really owning their own data, owning their own infrastructure, you're going to see in the next couple of years where those project developments are just going to be ramped up. And of course, as you've so rightly mentioned, that there is such a big push now for data. I think somebody once said that data is the new oil, right? Data has become a currency in and of itself. So I think what we're going to be seeing in the next couple of years is really a big push in terms of a drive from private sector companies located within the continent, as well as state entities and governments as well, owning their own data centers. And of course, that's where the AI-enabled data centers then comes in, obviously because in terms of energy efficiency, in terms of energy security in the country as well, there's also going to be a big push in terms of driving for AI-enabled data centers.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And do you think South Africa is well positioned to take advantage of that? Because we tend to have a little bit more sophisticated infrastructure. There's lots of benefits and possibly cost savings of having data centers or growing the data center industry in South Africa.
Yeah. So yes, definitely. I think from a continental point of view, suffice to say that South Africa has had a little bit of a head start in comparison to our other African counterparts. But that's not to say that there isn't development that's happening in other parts of the continent. So for example, in East Africa, there's some big projects out there where data centers are being built, and how they're being structured in that side of the continent is more of regional data centers. Whereas, for example, here in South Africa, you find state entities having their own data centers, where you find private companies having their own data centers as well. So I think as we move upwards in the continent, what we're seeing more of is more regionally hosted data centers.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about your company and how it's adopted AI or how it's utilizing AI to provide services to customers.
Yeah, thank you so much for that question as well. So how we've used AI, particularly in the tools that we've built, what we've used it mainly for is the predictive enablement of some of the tools that we've built. So for example, I mentioned a little bit earlier that we have a tool that tracks and traces for farmers, for example. So whereby we have a dashboard from the point of view of a farmer and then from the point of view of the market agent. So what we then use, I'm just using this tool as an example, whereby you're then able to monitor things like shelf life. So if a crop has been harvested on a particular date, then we're able to track to say this product can be on a shelf to maintain its freshness until date X. So those are some of the tools that we measure, that we are using through the enablement of AI. We're also even able to measure things like temperature regulation from the cold storage transportation source right up to the market floor. And the reason why we built a tool like that is because we find it important, particularly for those economic sectors that drive the different economies on the continent, of which we know agriculture is a really strong one. So, and what we found is that on a lot of the farmers on the continent are more subsistence. So this tool enables them to move in terms of becoming more commercialized, right? Because then they can have more visibility in terms of what pricing is like for a particular crop on any particular day. Similarly to currency fluctuations, fresh produce prices fluctuate as well. So thereby giving the power to the farmers in terms of having that visibility, where they're able to gauge their revenue, where they're able to gauge their soil quality, for example, where AI can help measure and monitor the irrigation systems as well. So we're really having a good time, if I can put it that way, with enabling in AI in some of the tools that we're building.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned agriculture and pharmaceuticals as some of the use cases. What other industries do you think will benefit from what you're doing?
Yeah, so another industry that could benefit from what we're doing, a use case could be in the telco space.
Okay.
For example, if there's a telco, we've worked with a telco whereby they have a significant presence in the rest of the continent. And if there's a product that needs to be rolled out in the different parts of the continent simultaneously, for example, let's take something as simple as language. So through an AI-enabled bot that we've built, we've actually built our own AI bot called Kayomi, and we've enabled our bot with the different language capability. So for Francophone Africa, the same bot can be able to speak in French to assimilate with that population. In Anglophone Africa, then even look at the country like South Africa, whereby we have the 11 official languages. If a telco or any other company really needs to roll out anything in the different languages, we have that enablement that we've built into our bot. But then we've taken it a step further by enabling intuitive interaction. So whereby there's a bit more emotional intelligence between the bot and the human interaction as well. So yeah, so we've been playing around quite nicely and really maximizing AI. And I think that's just, if I can just veer off a little bit, I think that's something where a lot of people tend to have a misconception in terms of what AI is. So the minute people think AI, they automatically think an LLM like a ChatGPT or a Copilot or a Gemini, whereas there's so much more that AI can do, particularly as an enabler, not just for big corporations, but even for SMEs out there who need to play around or maybe even find different tools that can help their businesses run better. So I think it's important that we get that knowledge out there, that there is so much more to what AI can do other than just the LLMs, the large language models.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Kamogelo, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you so much
We're
for
looking forward to
having us.
seeing what's next with you.
Yes.
And enjoy the show today. And we're so happy to have had you here on AI.
Thank you so much for having us,
You're
and I
welcome.
really hope that this was empowering even for the viewers at home. Thank you so much.